Sorry, pal. Did you make poo-poo?
The film starts in the parking lot of the Fortico company, where two guards from the security company are on the job. However, out of nowhere, a cement truck pulls in ahead of them. Suddenly, a gunman, along with the rest of his team, steps out, and they begin to attack the truck. They force the guards outside as they start pulling the money bags out of the truck, but gunshots are heard in the midst of the chaos. 3 months after the incident, a man named Patrick Hill, nicknamed H, starts his first day on the job with Fortico. The CEO explains the operations at Fortico and how they transport cash across the country. Undoubtedly, this is a tough job, and lately there has been an incident involving gunfire at one of the cash trucks. A while later, he is introduced to Bullet. Bullet explains to Patrick that his selection is yet to be completed and that he will be going through a few tests, requiring him to secure at least 70 out of 100 to secure the job. As a result, Patrick Hill, who now carries the code name H, goes through the tests and ends up securing his position at Fortico. Later, H has his first assignment, where he is introduced to other guards, such as Boy Sweat Dave, who is antagonistic toward H. Their manager, Terry, mentions the previous truck incident, in which 2 guards and a civilian were killed. On their way to the mission, Dave explains how the previous incident took place and how he was lucky to survive. It turns out that it was supposed to be Dave's duty to drive the truck on the day of the incident. However, Dave was excused due to his health, which ultimately saved his life. After completing his first mission, Patrick invites H to the bar. Sensing H's reluctance to join, Patrick insists, saying it's part of the code here. Interestingly, before heading out to the bar, H carefully examines all the security passes, as though he is trying to locate a specific one. Another guard also tries to rile H up upon learning that H is replacing him.
Let me buy you a beer. Just make sure you drink it over there.
But H calmly gets the man to leave without confrontation. The next day, H, Dave, and Bullet are out for their second mission together. While the two wait in the truck, Bullet goes to collect the cash. However, tension begins to rise when Bullet fails to appear for a long time. Dave attempts to contact him on the Motorola, but it doesn't help. Suddenly, Dave receives a call from criminals claiming they have Bullet and are demanding the cash in the van in exchange for him. Dave panics and insists they should follow protocol and leave the place with the van immediately. The criminal demands they drive the van to a certain location, and H pressures Dave to follow the criminal's instructions to save Bullet. Dave is frightened and believes they shouldn't comply, but they ultimately do for Bullet's sake. The criminals have H throw the money bags into the back of a pickup truck, but he purposely drops one off the truck. When one of the gunmen steps out, H throws a bag but then quickly shoots the man in the head. He proceeds to open fire on the remaining gunman before chasing the leader into a nearby building. H corners the leader
Who'd you work for?
and asks who he is working for. The leader hesitates to answer, and H doesn't think twice before shooting him dead. His actions suggest he is no ordinary person. Meanwhile, H removes the mask from the fallen gunman as if searching for a particular person, but doesn't find them. Back at the company, H's actions are scrutinized by Terry, who questions how someone who appeared average in the test could shoot with such precision. However, Fortico's CEO Blake Halls commends H and suggests he should be promoted. The other guards applaud his heroics. H is later called in to review footage of the previous truck robbery to determine if any of the gunmen seem familiar. He focuses on one specific gunman, but tells the others nothing appears familiar. 2 agents are then shown working for someone named King, who believes H will lead them to the crew responsible for the first robbery. The agents express concerns about H, but King advises leaving him alone as long as he isn't a threat. 3 months pass since H started working at the company. One day, while H and Dave are delivering cash, another attempted robbery occurs. The crooks try to smoke H and Dave out of the truck, but when H steps out and reveals his face, the gunmen recognize him and quickly retreat. Bullet notices this and suspects there's more to H, calling him a dark spirit. Dana, one of the guards working at Fortico, begins to grow closer to H. Soon she invites him out for a drink, and the two head to a nearby bar, eventually ending up sleeping together. Meanwhile, Bullet and Dave chat about H, and both are certain there is a lot to uncover about him. Later, Dana finds a stack of money in her apartment. H interrogates her and learns that she had recovered the money illegally from a previous job, intending to save it for her retirement. Before leaving her place, Patrick warns her not to mention their conversation to anyone, threatening that he knows everything about her and her loved ones, implying they could be in deep trouble. H then enlists the help of an associate named Kirsty, Line Renee, who brings him information he requested. This includes details about the employees working at Fortico and a mysterious autopsy report. It becomes increasingly clear that H is no ordinary guy. He is likely working at Fortico with a hidden agenda. Patrick's story takes a tragic turn as we flash back to his past life. He is enjoying a holiday with his son Dougie when a call from his old gang changes everything. Patrick, once a gangster, is reluctant to get involved again, wanting to prioritize his family. However, Mike insists this will be Patrick's final job, where he won't be directly involved. He only needs to track a Fortico truck and report its movements. The headquarters is just a 10-minute drive away, so Patrick reluctantly agrees, bringing Dougie along. To keep things casual, Patrick stops for a burger and asks Dougie to wait in the car. In reality, Patrick is watching the truck, but things take a dangerous turn. Looters attack the truck, and Dougie, sitting quietly in the car, steps out. He tries to call for Patrick's help, but it's no use. Patrick spots his son in trouble and sprints to save him. But before he can reach Dougie, one of the gunmen fires a point-blank shot. Dougie dies on the spot, and the ruthless robbers also shoot Patrick. 3 weeks after the incident, H recovers from a coma. The doctor informs him that Patrick miraculously survived despite 6 bullet wounds and extreme blood loss. The doctor also confirms the death of his son. Later, Patrick meets with his ex-wife, Jane, who blames him for Dougie's death. Patrick then meets with Agent King, who claims to know nothing about the killers, though Patrick manages to gain some insights about the looters. Patrick later meets Mike and his cohorts, who all feel some responsibility for what happened to Dougie and agree to help him find the men responsible. They eventually track down one of the gang members. H and his cohorts beat the man mercilessly, but he refuses to talk until H brings his wife into the situation and begins to strangle her. This forces the man to spill information, revealing that the Jackson brothers were behind the robbery. H is led to a building where the brothers keep women as sex slaves. With no other leads, H kills the brothers and ensures the women are freed. Patrick and his cohorts focus so intensely on finding Dougie's killers that their business suffers significantly. Mike discusses the situation with Patrick and insists they take a break. Patrick decides to fly to London, where he meets Kirsty. Patrick suspects someone within the company may have collaborated with the criminals. To investigate, he decides to join Fortico. Kirsty is tasked with creating a new identity for him. She succeeds in erasing his criminal record and establishing a clean profile. Once H starts working at Fortico, he observes the guards and request files from Kirsty. These files include background checks on the guards and an autopsy report on Dougie's death. We are then introduced to the crew responsible for the first robbery, led by a man named Jackson. In his employment are Carlos, Sam, Tom, Brad, and Jan, the latter being the one who killed Dougie and shot H. They have been lying low and doing normal jobs, but this is not earning them enough to live the life they want. They pressure Jackson to plan a mega heist. However, Jackson insists it's not the right time and that they should stay low until the time is right. Jackson and his crew are unlike ordinary robbers. They live normal lives on the outside, but on the inside, they are ruthless criminals, ready to go to any length. John, the man who killed Dougie, is the rebel of the group and doesn't pay much heed to his boss. At a birthday party, Jackson explains his plan for the robbery. They disguise themselves as construction workers near Fortico headquarters, waiting for the right moment to ambush. The crew proceeds with the robbery, noticing H and Dougie pull in. During the heist, Sam orders Dougie out of the van and onto the ground. Jan goes off the rails, shooting the 2 guards dead. When he notices Dougie watching him, he shoots him dead before also shooting H. Following the aftermath of that heist, the crew is planning their next and final robbery, a score of over $150 million to be split between them and their man on the inside, Bullet. Jackson and Tom go over the plan weeks in advance. They are both concerned about Jan, knowing his tendency to go off plan, but Jackson is confident that in the end, he will follow orders. The crew proceeds to head over to Fortico, where Bullet confesses to H that he is the inside man that tells the crews which trucks to hit. Jackson's crew commences the robbery, and with Bullet's cover blown, he kills Dana and another guard before killing Dave. He manages to get a few of Jackson's men, but Bullet shoots him and incapacitates him. Before they drive away, H gets a good look at John and recognizes him as Dougie's killer. Police head in on the scene and battle the robbers. Amidst the chaos, Jackson is shot in the neck while riding with John and Bullet. When they have to abandon the truck, John finishes Jackson off by slitting his throat. After Bullet realizes John is a traitor, he attempts to kill him, only for John to act first and blow Bullet's brains out. He proceeds to make off with all the loot in tow. Sometime later, John is planning to get away when he receives a phone call. H then appears behind him and throws him Dougie's autopsy report, which reads that he was shot in his liver, lungs, spleen, and heart. H then proceeds to shoot John in those exact places, making sure to save the heart for last. He leaves the apartment and is met by King, assuring him that the job is done and that he can presumably recover the stolen money. H then gets in a car with another man and drives away.